Hey y'all, what is up, everyone? Yeah. Okay, so in honor of me manifesting this sewing machine, I'm gonna tell you guys a story about what I think is the coolest thing I've manifested. And yes, this is a gift uh, from a friend, I guess. Um, And I will do a story time about this next. But it's a 1900s sewing machine. So basically, like, I just lift up this piece of wood and lift up another piece of wood and, like, pull out a sewing machine. And it was made between, like, 1901 and 1914. So that's pretty old. And then I have, like, this vintage seasoning rack, I guess. And this is, like, you know, one of them that goes with it. She only had one, and this is the inside, and then this is where you would pour it out. It's pretty big. You had to be more patient back then. You couldn't just. Ugh. But yeah, this is vintage, and she had a bunch of cool vintage stuff, and she gave me a bunch of stuff. So I want to do. I've been like cleaning and steaming hella stuff, going crazy. Um, but I'm almost done. I'm basically almost done. Um, and I'll do a video on it once that's ready. But yeah, today we're going to talk about the coolest thing I think I've manifested ever. So, um, 2 years ago ish, no, like 3 years ago, um, I was like, really consistent with all the work that I was doing, and I was just in the flow. So around that time, I remember I was like reading daily, and whatever I was reading, I was like really, really into. You know, I was only doing enjoyable things, but also doing what I had to do, but not like every day I would like go out and do what I had to do, and if I couldn't do everything, as long as I did like one or two of the most important things I could do that day, then I was fine. And I was going to sleep at a good time, waking up at a good time, waking up to, I would just enjoy my mornings, play my favorite music, sing, and then go out and do what I had to do. And I didn't have a job, I didn't have a car. So, but I was in LA, so I was like, I don't really need a car. And it's going to be pretty easy to get a job, you know? So I just got to try. I just got to do it. I just got to go. And I feel like my vibration had a lot to do with it because it was so good. My mindset was so good. It was crazy. And so, every day I would get do those one or two things, and I would have a good morning. I would wake up in a good time. I'm was vegan at this time. So I was just like super light, I feel like when I have a plant-based diet only, I'm a lot lighter, and I don't get like, I don't know, just my energy is just like better. It's more cleared up. So it was a lot of that. And I remember like feeling like really connected with like the universe and just thankful. And when I would go out for a walk, to get my stuff done, I would just be looking at the trees and playing like a podcast or music, and everything was always intentional. The music that I listened to, how I felt, like I was really, really in tune. And so one day I am taking a box to the post office because I just sold something on Poshmark. And so I'm walking to the post office. I do my thing. I wake up, have a good morning, get ready, leave as usual. But this time I was leaving, I was like, I'm going to send the package and I'm going to look for a job and I'm going to go to this area. So I I deliver the package. I get on the bus. I'm on the bus for an hour, and I get there, and it's like 7 at night or 8. Like it's already dark. When I went on my walk, it was daytime, and when I get there, it's dark. And I end up in WeHo, and I was looking for a bartending job. So when I get there, I was like kind of disappointed because I didn't know WeHo was like a gay area. And I went into like a few bars along the street, and I was like, noticing that it's all men. So I was like, I'm not gonna get a job. Basically, that's what my mindset was. I'm not gonna get a job. And I was on the precipice of changing emotion. So I thought to myself, okay, so what are my options? Either I can get on the next bus and go back home and be on the bus for another hour, or I can just stay here, chill a little bit since I'm already here, and just see how the night goes. And I decided to stay and see how the night goes. So basically, I was walking around and it was still early, so the bars were still like starting. It was pretty empty. And I go into one and I sit down and I start talking to the bartender, and I didn't really have any money on me. Yeah, I didn't really have any money on me. So basically, I was talking to him and I was asking questions, and he was giving me like, some free drinks, or like if he would make a little extra and put in a little cup, making sure, I was taken care of. And that was really nice. And then I make a joke, and I was like, well, it's either bartending or stripping. And I was looking at strip clubs in LA, but everywhere I went, I was just like, this is not my vibe. I'm going to be pissed off every day, pepper spraying people because what? But that was just my experience and like the handful that I went to, or it was like I wasn't skinny enough, or it was like I didn't have enough experience, or there was one club I went to and everyone pretty much had work done. So that was just like a different vibe. It was just more like, bodacious. So then that was like, I wasn't fitting that requirement either. And my vibe just wasn't into it either. So it was just like, so at that point it was a joke. I was like, let's either bartending or stripping. And the guy was like, oh, really? Well, I used to be somewhat of a stripper myself. And I was like, okay. And he started showing me, his content from when he was doing it. And he was telling me about the owners and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, that seems like an amazing experience. And he was more excited than me, but he actually knew about it. And he messaged the owner right then and there. He asked for a few pictures of me, the owner, so he could see me. And, I was right there. So I go on my Instagram. I'm screenshotting my Instagram. I'm, sending it to him. And the guy was like, okay, cool. But it still wasn't a for sure yes, And he was like, okay, cool. Turns out the owner of, that he was sending this stuff to, of the dance company, he was part of Chippendales, I think like in the 80s and the 90s. And then he became co-owner of Chippendales in like the early thousands and sold his half in the early thousands, I think. And then he ended up creating his own group after. So yeah. And so that was really cool. And after like a month, so basically like I was in the vibration up to that point, right? And so I got that opportunity. I stayed longer, and then after that, the whole night still just went really well. and I didn't even have to take the bus home, which would have taken an hour. That bartender ended up driving me home. Yeah, he did. And so even more positive things happened throughout that night, and I was like, wow, cool. But now I had to stay in the vibration for a month. You know what I mean? But that was so easy because the momentum was like really there. So building momentum is really important. And we're definitely going to talk about that a lot. Building momentum and keeping the momentum, and what to do when the momentum just like some stuff happen and you crash, and things happen. So we'll talk about all that stuff. I think there's like this a big praying mantis like right there. I can't tell. The door's open. I'm like hoping it doesn't fly in or something. But yeah, so a month goes by and I'm still, walking daily and getting ready daily. So I'm feeling confident. Like this is like the vibration I'm in now, where I'm like looking good all the time and I'm doing what needs to get done in a calm way and not stressed out. And so after like a month, I still was looking for a job during that time because I wasn't sure, and I got a job. And I would like walk to that job and everything was like cool, and positive things were coming up at that point too. But then I find out that I get the burlesque gig. That's what it was. So I was doing burlesque. But I find out that I get the gig when I have this job, but we're not starting till a certain time. And in my head, I'm trying to like figure out like, okay, well, this is gonna work somehow, right? And I work at that job for like 2 weeks, and then something happened where everything was good, and then they got upset with me, the manager, because I was working a night shift at a hotel, and it wasn't like a busy hotel. It was like, but it was a job, and I respected it, and everything was cool, and I worked long hours there, so standing up and just sitting down for long periods of time, like I wasn't really used to that. I was used to like walking a lot and staying hydrated and stuff like that. So I just felt like, um, you know, for when it was like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, I put my feet on the desk, um, and so I did it so I could get some blood flow, going down. They showed me the video, and they were like, and I was like, and they were like, and I was like, you're done. Okay, no one's gonna treat me like that. Okay, and I already got a job. Okay, and on top of that, I almost had a second job because there was someone at a dispensary who I could tell he was like interested, and he hired me at that dispensary. But there was like girl drama, like he was like a flirt. So I was just like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out for me. But I had that too at that time, so I wasn't really worried. I quit, and I got my paycheck, and then I got the job. I don't know if I even knew that I had the job yet, but thankfully I got the job. And I spent literally every dime on getting what I needed to get, because that was a job that I had to pay for my own stuff. So I had to get 2 different pairs of shoes, uh, multiple outfits, things that I to travel with, and stuff like that. So I literally started burlesque like my first day. I had like less than $5 in my bank account, and I remember like but luckily I was able to do everything. Like I was able to Uber there for rehearsals and practice before we even got on tour. I was able to get all the things that I needed, like everything worked out perfectly. But yeah, that first day, I remember one of the girls wanted Starbucks, and I was like, yeah, let's get Starbucks. And we're there, and I checked my bank account, and I was like, oh my God, the bank took like $4. And all I could get, and I had to pretend like I wanted this, was like a plain black coffee with like, I think they have creamer there and stuff like that. So I had that. And then luckily, we worked the first night. So, we get to our location, We eat because the food was mostly provided for us in some aspects, and we dance and I make my money, and then after that, things were flowing again and things were good. So that was the coolest thing I've ever manifested. And you know during the time that I was looking for a job, um you know in the very beginning, before I met that bartender, I remember I was also like, in the vibration. So I was like manifesting in the way where I was like, manifesting is like thought, word, action, right? So I talked about the third part, right? Action. I was going out and I was getting ready, and I can physically, I was physically doing these things. That's action. My thoughts at that time was like gratitude, and I wasn't like ever like having a bad day because I didn't have a car. You know what I mean? I wasn't ever having a bad day because I was low on money. You know what I mean? It was like that wasn't even a focus. I didn't have a need. I wasn't in the vibration of need or fear or lack. And my thoughts were always like, when I went to a strip club, it was like, I wouldn't want this because it's not respectful enough in the way that when I did go into like one of the two places, it was like some dudes trying to talk to me, grab up on me, and then I would look at the security and they weren't really doing anything, and I'm like, this is what it is when someone is not respecting your space. You don't care because I'm a stripper, like, no, and I'm not gonna be getting mad like that. So, or sometimes the women kind of seem kind of competitive, and I was like, I don't really want to be experiencing that either. Um, but in my thoughts were also like, well, I do want to work with women because my other jobs before this were like all men, and I love that. It was a lot less drama. It was really different, and I loved it. But I was like, I'm ready to hang out with like the girlies again. I'm ready to, you know, do that now. Just flip flop, which is fine. Things always change and whatever. But yeah, so it was just like, well, I still want to be like in a feminine, like, zone. And I want to do something like where I can have time for myself and I don't have to work often, which is, good if you're like in the sex industry in general. You have a lot of time for yourself. You make a lot of money. And so I was like, well, I want to be able to make enough money to support myself, and I still want to be in this feminine vibration on a daily. And and for that job specifically, oh, and I was like, and I want to be able to travel. So for that job, we traveled, and I wasn't consciously manifesting a job where I could travel. I wasn't looking for that, but I was thinking about travel, and that was something that was important for me in my life. So it required traveling. It was dancing, which is, strippers dancing. And I was like reading books on like acting, and I would like meet a lot of actors in LA. And LA was still very fresh and new to me, even though I would grow up going for the summer, and like, I was actually living there as an adult and like experiencing it in a new way. And yeah, it was really cool. So, anyways, so I got like, so burlesque is like acting, it's dancing, it's stripping, it's money, it was traveling, it was meeting new people. Like, I manifested all that perfectly. It was so crazy. So to me, that was like the best thing ever, because I basically got everything I asked for, everything I was looking for. And I was like, doing this and like having these thoughts for like at least a month, at least a month. But I want to say, like, I mean, at that point, I was already on a spiritual journey for a couple years, but I was like gaining a lot more clarity at that point. Things are gonna get more and more clearer, especially after like 3 years of doing this. If it's your first year, girl, your second year, boy, but that third year and up, it's crazy. But I feel like, I don't know. We'll get into that more later. But yeah, that's how I became a burlesque a dancer. And I eventually ended up quitting, and I'm not too happy with the way I quit. I quit originally the first time good, and then for the next tour, they couldn't find another girl, so they asked me to do the next tour. And I really wasn't feeling it. I really, really, really needed that break. So I wish that I would have just quit and left it at that, taken however long I needed to take. And I think that I would have been able to get back into it whenever I was ready. But that it didn't happen like that. I was already needing the break, and I didn't get that break because I was like, yeah, I'll fill in. And it was not worth it. But I'm still going to do burlesque. So, yeah. But yeah, anyways, I have nothing left to say, so I'm just gonna end the video here. If you guys wanna leave comments down below, then feel free to do that. Yeah, peace.